Swoohoo YouTube, SWUCUBE here with a long overdue SWUCUBE update for Twilight of the Republic Set 3. I'm here today to talk briefly about the Set 3 cube that I've put together. It's a set themed cube. It's made to simulate the actual draft environment of Twilight of the Republic that you get out of buying booster packs. So I'll talk about that a little bit. I'd also like to give you a brief update for the channel and what I plan to do going forward. I've obviously been very quiet for the last couple months. I assure you I have very good reasons for that. So without further ado, let's jump in and talk Set 3 cube. Here is my cube box. I got my Set 3 cube, my Set 2 cube, and my Set 1 cube out of screen. I'm actually going to move this out to have a little bit more space to talk here. So Set 3 cube, Twilight of the Republic, just like the other two cubes that I built for Spark of Rebellion and Shadows of the Galaxy. This is made to be a simulation cube for the actual limited environment that FFG designed out of the booster packs if you play sealed or draft. So I segregate commons, uncommons, and rares as I have done before. And the ratios that I include are 3 of each common card, 2 of each uncommon card, and 1 of each rare and legendary card. Now, when I build my packs, I'm usually doing like 8 or 9 commons, 4 or 5 uncommons, and 1 or 2 rares. Depending on the number of players I have, the draft format. I do a lot of different experimental and new draft formats with this cube, from like Winston, Winchester, grid draft, a weird thing that I picked up in the Pokemon TCG called Solomon Draft, which is also pretty cool. Maybe I'll do a video on that at some point. Anyway, the cube's flexible. You can draft it in any way you want. So this is, it's basically what I call a 3-2-1 cube. 3 of each common, 2 of each uncommon, 1 of each rare. I do have a few of the starter cards sprinkled in as I've been able to acquire copies, but I am still acquiring those copies for the cube. So not fully complete as I intended ultimately, which will include some starter cards which are not in the draft environment, but are very, very cool cards and worth playing in their own right. Not a whole lot to show off here. I did find a couple local stores. I'm in Pennsylvania, and there's a great store in the middle of Pennsylvania called Gather Your Party Games. Shout out to you guys. They do a lot of Star Wars Unlimited. They have a thriving community, and I sometimes pass by there for business and stop in and dig through their bulk box and hit gold with the amount of kind of bulk, common uncommons, hyperspace foil and hyperfoil cards that really just I've never really been one to bling things out. I enjoy having my game pieces, but this game has kind of turned me into a fan of the pretty art pieces. So I have been doing that from time to time as I have time and resources. One thing I wanted to talk about this cube, and this set, I think more than most, because right now the cards are so cheap. I'm blown away by how easy to acquire a full cube set is, that 3-2-1 set. So my brother and I, that's our play group, right? There's just 2 of us. When we get together and play Star Wars Unlimited, we're basically just playing cube. And we are now obviously playing the Set 3 cube. We bought a box and we bought 1 pre-release kit because I like the cube with the starter leaders and I like to get those in hyperspace. So it's the only way to get those is to get that box. So out of that, those cards that we opened, there were, however many cards are in a box, of a couple hundred, maybe 300 cards or so. There were about 30 cards that we opened that were duplicates and I did not need for the cube. So a vast majority of the cards we opened in 1 booster box and 6 additional packs from the sealed set. Most of that went straight towards the cube, and I just ordered singles for the rest. And that order for singles was about $20. So for, about $115 is what we were out of pocket, plus the 20, so 130, 135 bucks to get a full set cube. Now, I will say, I proxied most of the legendary cards. I have been acquiring those slowly over time because They're expensive, and my printer is kind of low on toner, so these ones don't look as good as some of my previous efforts. But proxy them to save money because I am rather strapped at the moment and don't have a lot of spare cheddar to throw around on square pieces of cardboard that are really just toys. But I've been picking them up slowly over time. I think, you know, if this one in particular, price is probably going to come down. But we were lucky to lucky enough to open in our box in Ahsoka. We were lucky enough to open, where are you at, buddy? Cad Bane, which is kind of one of the money ones, foil clone. Anyway, this is kind of beside the point of this video, but if you're willing to proxy some of the most expensive cards, you can basically acquire, I mean, if we didn't buy the box, I probably could have bought all of the singles for this, like a play set of commons, 2 of each uncommon, and 1 of each rare, and then whatever the cheap legendaries you want to pay for, proxy the rest. I mean, you could do this for $50 each set. Like, it's like the highest value board game that exists, if you enjoy this type of game, which obviously I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a YouTube channel about it. So I'm just, it tickles me. It makes me so happy that that I can, you know, kind of build a thing like this that has, in my mind, near infinite replayability. I've got young kids. They're too young to play now, but I plan to teach them when they're old enough, and really look forward to family game nights with the Star Wars Cube. Which kind of actually brings me to the reason why I've been quiet for so long. My wife is pregnant with twins, and as such, I have had limited free time and free resources to spend on this game. So yeah, it's a big deal. That's kid number 6 and 7 for us. So we have a busy house. It's about to get busier, but I do not plan to go away. I will most likely not be able to continue my dual decks or my battle box video series for 2 reasons. First and foremost, that's a very time-consuming project. Really, I try to put a ton of thought, and if you followed those videos, you'll know this, because in my commentary, I think that was pretty clear. I put a ton of thought into each card that I included in those decks. I try to be very thematic, but also find a very balanced power level where all the decks were kind of at least within a matchup spread of each other, and that playtesting takes a good deal of time, and I just don't have that time right now. So that's number 1. Number 2, for set 2, I bought a case of booster boxes. For set 3, you know, obviously couldn't do that. So I don't have the spare cards laying around. I literally have a pile of cards this thick that are not in my cube from set 3, and that's it. The space in my life is, you know, getting smaller. I don't have as much room for clutter. Do not have as much resources to throw around on the cardboard. So we're going to be a little bit more budget friendly around here for the time being, and that's just fine. I look forward to continuing to talk about Cube, to kind of show off what I've been doing and my thoughts on the game. From time to time, I'd still like to do a battle box deck or 2. I certainly have tons of ideas. I mean, set 3 is just a banger, in my opinion. There's so many cool mechanics and great leaders, and the Clone Wars era is something that's near and dear to me, as I think I was 11 or 12 when episode 1 came out. So grew up on it, grew up on the Clone Wars TV show, and I'm really enjoying this, as I'm sure many of you are. That is virtually all I have to talk about. The next thing I plan to do, I'm currently working on this, is actually moving away from the set cube model that I have been employing so far, where I'm building simulation cubes, and moving towards building curated, you know, bespoke, custom cube lists. So I'm currently in the works on designing a like a Galactic Civil War, you know, trilogy era cube with Skywalker, Vader, and all of those characters, basically from like tail end of Bad Batch, Rebels era through the Mandalorian. Basically, any time that there's a stormtrooper active is kind of how I've kind of couched my time period. Look, this game is so big on the flavor. You know, mechanics are great. And I'm saying this because I've built cubes in many different card games. And generally speaking, when building a cube in a game like Magic the Gathering, or, I mean, really Magic the Gathering, what drives the decision making for what cards and decks to include is mechanical synergies. Magic is a game of pretty weak flavor compared to something like Star Wars, which is, these are really stories coming to life in our cards. So I find that for me, when playing this game, I enjoyed the flavor aspect a lot more than I expected to. That's a new thing for me in card games. And so I'm really leaning into that with my Trilogy era, Galactic Civil War era cube. As such, I'm intentionally excluding all cards that are Clone Wars era, within reason, right? You can't fully escape them, but like Jango Fett's not going to be in the cube, neither is Mace Windu. So that is, I'm really designing it to be flavor first. It'll be similar in size to my set cubes, which fall around 450 cards. I'm trying to keep it as small as possible. But largely speaking, it's going to be based mostly on set 1, with a good chunk of set 2 and a handful of cards currently from set 3. And I plan to maintain this cube ongoing. So I will do probably a series of videos talking about the cube, because I have a lot of thoughts about how to design a good cube in SWU. I know I'm not the first one doing this anymore. There's a lot of other people putting out great cubes like KTOD, the Hyperspace Cube, and other channels are talking about the Star Wars Unlimited cube now, which is great because this game is just fantastic for cube. But I am taking a bit of a different approach. I'm trying to be very analytical and data driven in the way that I'm designing it. I have studied the sets that FFG's put out in every aspect, in terms of stat balance, color balance, traits that are available, how to make certain leaders stronger or weaker. And I'm really trying to tweak every little knob here. And that's what I really enjoy about building a cube. It's just spreadsheeting, I guess. So I'm hard at work at that. I will probably bring an initial video for that before Christmas, and then we'll probably have a series of videos kind of covering different aspects of that cube thereafter. And that's probably the next time you'll hear from me. So until then, thank you for subscribing to this channel. Please do so. If you haven't already, please like, and stay tuned. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for your time and your constant encouragement. I love the positive vibes here. Be blessed, and I will talk to you soon. Peace out.